This is a video on writing chemical equations. I've already made 3 of these previously, but I figured I'd make another few videos that look at it from a different lens, different perspective, because I've noticed students in class, a lot of students are getting intimidated across my classes, and a lot of them have just given up. And let me tell you now, advice from someone like myself. I was once a student. I've done many years of university as well. And having this negative, pessimistic mindset, you won't go far in life, I promise. It'll chew away at you every single day till you reach burnout. You'll start to have, even in worse scenarios, mental problems, things like anxiety, persistent anxiety. The thing with not just science, with any other subject, is to take it one step at a time and to listen to your teachers and ask for help. I mean, that's what we're here for. That's what we're getting paid to do. Especially with me, it's not about the money. It's not about position and all that. It's about, I do education because it matters to me. It gets me up every morning, gives me a great sense of accomplishment and satisfaction. So watch these videos and try and follow as best you can. If you still don't understand this, please come and see me. But the way to tackle these types of questions, these types of questions will definitely be in your exam. There's no doubt about that. Is to use steps, use a recipe. I like to see things. Everything for me is like an algorithm. It's a step-by-step process. Whether it's science or not, I see everything in terms of steps, a recipe. And you need to practice. It's not about memorization. I'm not a genius, not a brainiac, as I mentioned in class. I'm someone who practiced a lot as a student. That's how you master something. Okay, I like to give the example of a pilot. Every pilot starts with 0 hours. You can't become a captain for a major airline without going through the hard yards. Okay, it takes practice. So let's do an example. Now, with writing chemical equations, they'll typically give you 3, common acids, things like hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, nitric acid. So that's my starting point. So I'll write this first and foremost: hydrochloric acid plus sodium hydroxide. This is a textbook example of probably the most common example of an acid-base reaction, as we'll see. So suppose I'll give you this in an exam, and I'll ask you to find not only what the products are, but what the chemical equation is. Now, chemical equations, they're the exact same thing as word equations like this. This is a word equation because it's only got words, but they use letters and numbers. Okay, so let's take this one step at a time. In an exam, I want you to do this. I don't care if it takes you 5 minutes, worst case scenario, 10 minutes. So long as you do it step by step, right? It'd be hard to get this wrong, okay? That can be worth up to 3 marks. And you're better off getting something right, okay, than leaving it blank or getting it wrong. So step 1 is to identify the reaction. Identify reaction. Now, how do you do this? Well, you've got an acid here, sodium hydroxide. Anything with a hydroxide is a base. I'm going to highlight this. Anything with a hydroxide is a base. Okay. Now you need to know the main types of reaction involving acids. You've got acid plus base, acid plus metal, and acid plus carbonate. Now in this case, it's acid plus base. And acid plus base gives you a salt and water. Okay, they neutralize. The acid and base neutralize to give you a salt that's neutral and water as well, which is neutral. That's step 1. Step 2 is to identify the salt. Every acid reaction involves a salt: acid metal, acid base, acid carbonate. Okay, so that you should probably already know how to do this, hopefully. Any salt you give me, whether it's sodium chloride, table salt, whether it's copper chloride from nature, any type of salt, by definition, it's made of a metal and non-metal. Okay, that's what salts are. Okay, they're made of a metal and non-metal. If I zoom in through a microscope, I can see it. Okay. Now you look at the equation here, and you see where the metal is. It's not hydrochloric. Okay, hydrogen and chlorine, they're non-metals. Acid is in the metal. Sodium is a metal. So it's sodium. That's the metal bit. You always write the metal first for a salt. Okay, salts are ionic compounds. An ionic compound is made of a metal and non-metal. And you always put the metal first. That's the rule. Let me emphasize that. Hydroxide is made of oxygen and hydrogen, so it's not the metal. The non-metal always comes from the acid. Okay, the acid ending. The acid ending is chloric, and so the chloric becomes chloride. Chemists write chloride. Just sounds better than chloric. That's why they use chloride, sodium chloride. Sodium chloride, it's good to know this, okay, from memory. It's table salt. Okay, if you have to, write sodium chloride on your table salt in your kitchen and stick it on there. Okay, to help you memorize it. But sodium chloride is what you get plus water, right? So if I identify the salt, the third step is to write chemical symbols using periodic table. Okay, your periodic table will be given to you in the exam. But the thing with acids are, hydrochloric acid, you have to memorize this, okay? It's not difficult. So let's write the word equation above as a chemical equation. Hydrochloric acid is H for hydro, chloric for Cl, chlorine. That's hydrochloric acid, okay? Underline that. There's a lot of underlining, but I'm just showing you what's happening here. Plus sodium hydroxide. Now, sodium is Na. Okay, it's got a valency of +1 because it's in group 1 and it's a metal. It's got a charge of +1. Hydroxide, you need to know this. It's a polyatomic ion. Poly means many. Atomic means atoms. Okay, it's made of 2 or more atoms. Hydroxide is OH. Okay, you have to commit this to memory. Hydroxide. Just think hydro for H, oxide for oxygen. It's got a charge of -1. It has to be minus because sodium has plus, and plus and minus have to combine to give you a compound. And then plus water. Water is H2O, small 2, O. It's got 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. That's H2O, that's water. Okay, you need to commit this to memory. So that's step 3. Now we simply, my bad, I've got the salt. Plus, so it doesn't matter if you put the water first or the salt next, it's the same thing. Sodium chloride, Na+1, that's sodium. Chloride is chlorine, Cl -1. Chlorine's in group 17. It's got a charge of -1. And then let's tidy this up. All right, 4 tidy up. So that becomes HCl plus, now the NaOH, you stick them together. Sodium hydroxide, right? The +1 and the -1, you don't bring them down. You don't crisscross because they cancel out. Okay, makes H2O plus, same thing here, NaCl. The ones cancel out. And that is your chemical equation there. Okay, so you're simply working out what's what and writing it in this particular order. So hydrochloric acid plus sodium hydroxide gives you water and sodium chloride. Okay, salt and water.